talking about how WBAI matters to them, and it really shows that there are people that are definitely listening, and they take this radio station not for granted. They really honor the fact that they can get a perspective of the world that you can't get on, particularly and especially through our commercial counterparts as well. Our perspective here at WBAI is truly unique amongst the airwaves here in the tri-state area and beyond that. There's so many things that we do here, and there was such a plethora of concern and appreciation all at the same time. And I just wanted to share that with the listening audience out there. And we thank you for that. Just make sure that you spread the word and tell people about this station. We've been around for 57 years, and we want to continue with that relationship. So 516-620-3602 or go to give2wbai.org, and you can always text to donate by texting WBAI to the number 41444, and those are some of the ways of donating to this radio station, and we'll try to do our best continuing to give you that narrative. Stay tuned for State of the Arts NYC coming up right now.
Good evening. This is State of the Arts NYC, and this is your host, Savona Bailey-McClain, where we cover art. Tonight, we will talk with artists and curators on transformative art. We have Kathleen Ash-Milby, Associate Curator at the National Museum of the American Indian, and she is also the co-curator of this fabulous exhibition called Transformer: Native Art in Light and Sound. Our talk will involve the use of technology in Native American art. Then we have live in the studio Michael Mwenso, and he is an African jazz artist, and he features a lot of hardcore jazz and, folkloral roots with impeccable craft and gift and creativity and flair. And he's going to be a part of the 2018 Winter Jazz Festival on January 12th at a spot I have not been to in many, many years, at the Bitter End in the Village. And we're going to talk about his practice and what he hopes to fulfill at that festival, also a native of Harlem. Then we will have with us Christine Tschida. And Christine Tschida is the director of the Northrop, which is a major presenter of dance at the University of Minnesota. But what's really important is that Miss Tschida is also the artistic director for the Joyce Theater's American Dance platform that also will be taking place during JanArtsNYC. So we are very excited. And then we wrap up our program with a exhibition review by a WBAI contributor, Mitchel Cohen. So let's get started. So we're going to start off with Kathleen. Kathleen, are you on the line?
I sure am.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you this afternoon to talk about this exhibition.
Yes, and I've always, because I curate art too, I've always wanted to engage with the Native American community. I feel that the perspectives that they have are quite interesting and compelling. And a few years ago, it might be before your time at the museum, I remember this beautiful, absolutely stunning exhibition that was done in glass. It was Native American art in glass, and it was like the creation of totems and other three-dimensional works. And I was so taken back. I became intrigued with the museum on a regular basis, and so every so often I would come to see what you are doing. And then I saw this light and sound-based installation, and I said, that's it. I got to make sure I get somebody on the air so we could talk about this exhibition. Tell us, what was the roots of how this exhibition evolved at the museum?
Well, I've been working with contemporary Native American art for almost 20 years, and I saw a work by a Tlingit artist named Nicholas Gallinen, which is a video work that's in the installation. I saw it in a gallery about 9 years ago, and I was really intrigued with it. And I thought, I really need to think about organizing an exhibition that's dealing with Native artists who are using very new electronic technology. And I had a lot of other projects on my plate, and things just evolved over the years, and eventually I was able to come back to it, and I was able to work on this exhibition with a colleague of mine in Canada.
Okay.
His name is David Garneau, and we both had this real strong interest in artists working in this type of media.
Wow. Okay. So I like the fact that you're examining art in new media, because it's kind of, changing the landscape quite a bit. And what it's affording is an opportunity for penetrating storytelling that we might not have been able to enjoy before. It goes beyond just looking at two-dimensional art or three-dimensional art. It actually tells a broader story. And so therefore, I like that, how different groups of people are able to convey these stories. What do you want your audience to walk away with when they see this exhibition?
Well, I think with all of the exhibitions that I organize, I'm really looking to broaden people's perspectives about what Native art can be. A lot of people have very rigid notions of what something called Native art is, and the truth of the matter is that Native art has always incorporated available technologies. So 150 years ago, the new technology was beads. Beads were not constructed by Native people. They were trade goods. They were made of glass.
Right.
They, came from Italy and other places, and Native people incorporated those into their culture, into their artwork. And now we think of beadwork as being, quote, traditional. So what I'm always trying to do is open people's minds to what Native art can be, and to also understand that there isn't one way to be a Native artist. So with Transformer, it's taking that idea to an extreme, because I think that when people think about Native art and you introduce them to a painter or a sculptor, it might be a little bit surprising to them, but technology-based work is probably the furthest from what people think of as traditional.
Yes.
So that's what's exciting about it, is that these artists are using technologies that most people think of as the most non-Native technology they can use. But the artists that David and I chose for this exhibition specifically are artists who are actually using that very non-traditional technology to explore ideas about their own traditions.
Okay.
And storytelling, creation stories, worldviews. So it's kind of a fun thing to then take artists and sort of twist it around so that it's like, yes, they're using the most non-Native technology you might be thinking of to talk about very indigenous issues.
All right. Well, that's good, because, when you think of Native art or just the Native community, it's pretty broad. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's very broad. It's not just about natives who live in North America, but in Central America, South America, and there are various, traditions amongst those various people. There were different groups that actually merged or crossed or intermarry, and it's a much, deeper sort of understanding that, we all need to come to when we think of Native cultures. And then when you think about how the Europeans, impacted them, and Africans from the slave trade impacted them, it is a very, interesting history. So I think this is very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, the Native cultures are very, very diverse. If you're comparing someone who lives in the Northwest Coast to someone who lives in the American Southeast, very, very different. And part of the reason why people think of Native culture as being very monolithic is because of Hollywood, because of the Western. So the diversity that's there and the richness is there is this really largely unknown to most of the public. There are over 500 federally recognized tribes just in the United States.
Really?
That's not counting tribes in Canada, and as you said, that's not, mentioning anyone who's south of the border. So it's a really vast group of people that we're talking about.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about this exhibition. Who is in this exhibition?
Well, it's a group exhibition. I usually don't do big group shows. This is probably the biggest group of artists I've had in one exhibition, and it's only 10 artists.
Okay.
But we wanted to, and it's funny because the exhibition that was in the same space previously was called Native Fashion Now, and it was a fashion exhibit. And when you counted the artists who also did the accessories, there were over 75 artists who were represented in that show. So this is sort of the opposite because we have 10 artists. There are 9 artworks and installations in the show. And that's because in one case there are 2 artists who collaborated on one piece. So we were really excited to be able to give space to this work because it is a very immersive exhibition.
Yes, it is.
There are artists who are working with video and video projection, but there are also a few artists who are doing what you might call sound installations. So it's a little bit, it's kind of high tech in some ways. It's definitely put our technology people to a lot of work with this exhibition that they're not usually having to do. But I think we all had a lot of fun being able to work with the artists and help realize their vision. But it's one of these exhibitions that you really have to experience. Because, can I tell you about one of the pieces?
Sure. I mean, I've been to the exhibition, but yes, tell our audience. Tell us.
I'll try. But you have to really be there. Okay, so one of the first installations that you walk into when you walk into the gallery is a piece called Still Life No. 2, and it is by a Navajo artist named Raven Chacon. And Raven is from New Mexico, and this piece, the title doesn't really give you a clue at all as to what it's about, but it is a conceptual representation of the Navajo creation story. So, in brief, the Navajo creation story, it's passed on through oral tradition. It's a story that was meant to be spoken and passed on from person to person. It wasn't something that was meant to be written down and recorded, even though people have done that. And there's no one way to tell the story. There are certain things that change with the person who is telling the story. And so what Raven did is, with a collaborator named Melvatha Chi, he recorded her speaking in Navajo, the Navajo creation story. And then the recording is played on this series of speakers that form an arc from the floor across the top of the room. And there's a sound delay in the speakers so that the sound of her speaking is moving. You get the sensation of the voice moving within the room. And then the room is also flooded with color because the Navajo creation story and Navajo cosmology is very centered around the 4 cardinal directions and 4 colors also associated with those directions. And these 4 colors are also associated with different times of the day. So depending on the time of the day, then the color will shift to that color. So it goes through blue, red, yellow, and white. What color was it when you were there? Do you remember?
I don't remember because I saw that. I saw how the different colors was changing, and it created a different mood for me when I was there.
It's also, it's something that's always emotion. And I think that what Raven's doing with this piece is he's kind of creating an ephemeral environment, something that's never the same. It's always in motion, and that's his representation of what this story is.
Okay. All right. This is great. I had a great time when I was there to see it. And I just want to share with our listeners that the exhibition is in that beautiful custom house that's named after Alexander Hamilton in Bowling Green, just a few steps away from the bull that everyone knows that represents Wall Street. It's very easy to get to. You could take the 405 train to Bowling Green, just step out. It's free to go inside the custom house. I love the rotunda area. It's so beautiful with all the artwork that's there. So it's this beautiful historic building, and then you can go and see the installation. Now, what are your days of operation?
Well, we're open every day but Christmas, so
okay.
7 days a week, and we open at 10 and we close at 5, but on Thursdays we're open till 8.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Yeah. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us to tell our audience so much about this exhibition. It's really important. I think it's really great. And considering, we just started the first day of winter, you think of light. That's the first thing you think about is light. And why not go and enjoy all the lights that are available to us during our winter season? So thank you so much, Kathleen, for joining us. And
sure, thanks for visiting.
Yes, and we hope to keep up with you and talk with you about more installations. Thank you. Thank you again. All right. Bye-bye.
JanArtsNYC is one of the largest and most influential gatherings of performing arts in the world, a partnership among 11 independent and multidisciplinary festivals. 45,000 arts leaders, entertainers, and enthusiasts converge in New York for network learning, professional development, mentorship, cultural exchange, awards, and peer acknowledgement. The Office of Media and Entertainment is proud to be a supporting partner. Participating artists: Chamber Music America, the Public Theater's Under the Radar Festival, Prototype Opera Theater Now, International Society for the Performing Arts, Joyce Theater's American Dance Platform, American Realness, PS 122's Coil Festival, NYC Winter Jazz Fest, Wavelengths, APAP Music World Pre-Conference, APAP NYC 2018, and Global Fest. The public can enjoy innovative works hosted around New York City. For more information, go to JanArtsNYC.org.
And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. We had a great conversation with Kathleen Ash-Milby, who's the Associate Curator at the National Museum of the American Indian that's located at the Alexander Hamilton Custom House at Bowling Green in Lower Manhattan. They have this fabulous, really wonderful exhibition called Transformer, Native Art in Light and Sound. We hope to keep up with them. And now we have live in the studio, Michael Mwenso. And Michael, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us.
That's all right. That's all right. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. And so Michael is going to be performing at the Winter Jazz Festival.
True.
And for the benefit of our audience, the month of January is a pretty exciting month in New York City. You have at least a dozen festivals, performing art festivals going on, multiple venues all across the city, and there are showcases, there are performances, there are lectures, there are panel discussions. To me, I think it's the largest music festival in the world, pretty much.
Definitely, you do. It is great to be in that. I always think it's good to have it in that part of the year because it's almost an opener for, as you say, it's a showcase. There's many things going on in that week, the APAP situation and stuff like that. So it's almost a preview to what is coming.
Yes. And this show is a big supporter of APAP and all the various festivals that are a part of it. Last year we had a lot of participants. We had opera producers from Prototype. We had the executive director from APAP on the show.
Okay.
We had other different performers, just performers themselves. And so we're kind of excited about this because we wanted to make sure that we give as many people an opportunity as possible. And I'm so glad that you are on the show. So your genre is jazz. So what got you involved with jazz?
Well, wow, that's a long one. I'll give you a very small thing.
Okay.
Well, jazz, I would probably say music in general. If you, when I moved, I was born in Sierra Leone, in Freetown, and my mom married an English chap.
Okay.
And when I was 10, 11 years old, we moved to London, England.
All right.
And, life happened. He was tragically killed in a car crash and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then that was a very big pinnacle part of my life, dealing with myself and also losing him, but also my mom going through some emotional stuff, and then music becoming a counsel.
Okay.
Something that was a healer, and through that I was very touched. I was very blessed to have a godfather who and an aunt who were very deeply entrenched in Afro-American music.
Okay.
From blues to rhythm and blues, jazz, funk, soul, the whole scope of it, and through that, I just went in.
Okay.
And that was the development of really what is of now, of what we do now, the Shakes, the band that we have, the group, and the music we play is definitely what that boy was listening to at 10, 11 years old.
Okay.
Jazz and blues and soul music and church music, but it was all happening at the same time. The love of the jazz and also being able to see a lot of the great musicians that were performing when they would come to London. By the time I was 12, 11 years old, I got to see Betty Carter, I got to see Elvin Jones, I got to see Johnny Griffin, I got to see James Moody, I got to see Oscar Peterson.
Wow.
I got to see a lot of people.
Oh, those are some big ones.
Yeah. By the time I was 18, I was, and not only the jazz people, the jazz people, but also I got to see the B.B. Kings, I got to see the James Browns, I got to see the Ray Charleses, I got to see the Bobby Blands.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So I was just scoping everything out. I was a little beaver.
Okay.
In a suit and a trombone. You hear that, Redford and Michaela? Some of them are listening at home, some of the Shakes, so I'm shouting some of them out within it. But anyway, carry on.
Oh, that's great.
And Fox.
Okay, that is fantastic. Yeah, you bringing up some great artists.
And Betty Carter, she used to just live right there behind Bam. On St. Felix Street. So it's always interesting coming to this area because her house was quite a university for musicians to be mentored and taught by her. So it's always interesting coming around to this area.
Okay, great. And he's talking about where the studio is. And the studio is located on Atlantic Avenue.
That's right.
In the Barham Hills section of Brooklyn.
That's right.
Brooklyn, yes. Oh, that's fantastic because, people don't realize how important jazz is.
Yes.
It's really America's authentic music. Yet it's really beloved overseas, even more so than in this country. But I'm seeing a little bit of a turnaround, wouldn't you say? A little bit?
Well, most of the creations of the Afro-American and the African diasporic is of that, what you just said. It has, through all of the journeys that these people took, there is still there's still a lot of sadness that comes with us not embracing ourselves, us not loving ourselves. Us not loving ourselves is us not knowing our music, our culture. Yes, it was very sad. I realized that at a very young age when I would start going out to these concerts, you wouldn't see the presence of the people that you would like to see. But also, it was something that's very interesting because John, who is our manager, my manager, he's here. I was telling him the other day, I said, whenever I would be around the James Browns and those people, there was sadness from them that they felt that their people had left them and that their audience was only of a certain type of looking people.
Right.
So, but it's not their fault.
Well, you know what I think it is too? Is that people need help in connecting the dots.
You need to connect with your ancestors.
Well, that's part of it.
Yes, of
so
course.
if you don't understand
Who you
that
are,
jazz has that little undertone of blues and where blues comes from, and if you don't understand, because a lot of people don't take the time to pay attention to those things. And, the instruments that are involved. You said trombone. I used to play sax when I was a kid.
Really? What kind of saxophone?
Alto and baritone.
That would have been interesting to have listen to that.
So, it's about those wind instruments and the different string instruments, like the banjos. A lot of people don't realize that. Or you do, but then you didn't see the connection. Oh, yeah, that banjo from your grandmother or your grandfather, playing that on the porch. All of that is important in creating this sort of syncopation that we call jazz. But if you don't understand that those little elements, adding them together, brings about this jazz, then you might not think it's important.
Well, the art of the people is their ministry, is their food, and if you don't have food, you'll be starved. So, all the music that is created by those people, from the whole pantheon of Afro-American culture and music and literature and art, et cetera, from novelists, literature, and music, it is something that it's still a golden. It still has so many nutrients that we are not getting. Okay. And I think definitely with the Shakes, which is the band that we have, it is our mission to present the music as a body that can be presented to people, to also hear all of those things that are still missing. People, people need to hear the blues. People need to hear rhythm and blues. People need to hear grooves. People need to hear African music. People need to hear deep, hard swinging jazz. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. In 1 hour.
Okay. All right. It's a lot.
It's a lot, Michaela.
But it's like, still, it's like you said, it's food for the soul.
It's nutrients. It's the thing that's going to, food, music, and art it's like jazz is there to be, and not only jazz. The whole thing we're talking about, it's there to help your spirit. Yes. It's there to fill your spirit. It's there to advance your mind. It's there to heal your body. It's there to free your soul. It's there to do all these things. It's spiritual energy that is there to tune you up and make you better, make you happier, make you stronger. If you don't have these things, you'll be sad.
Yeah. And you won't even be able to navigate life. And that's becoming very complicated for everybody. Everybody these days. So you need that to bolster,
to armor, to bolster, to shield, to protect.
Yes. And to have positive feelings, to have love, to have joy in your life. You won't be able to do that if you won't open yourself up enough so that you can hear all those different things. So I think this is fantastic what you're trying to do. Tell us about your band, the Shakes.
Oh, wow. The Shakes. Well, the Shakes are an incredible group of people that I've been lucky to have been someone that has been there to be able to put them together. Okay. I just see myself as like a beacon of just putting the people together. Okay. And it came out of a lot of the foundation came out of the work I did at Jazz Lincoln Center when I used to work there. Okay. And I worked there for a little bit, and as naturally as it has become now, that evolved. That when I finished there, the Shakes then became the next part of the thing, and it just all evolved into just a whole pantheon of unique, incredible. We're like almost like the World United Nations. Everybody in the band is from somewhere. We have a South African incredible singer. We have someone from Madagascar. We have a Jamaican person. We have someone who's from Italy and, what you call yourself, Michaela? Italy and somewhere else. We have all kinds of people. We have all kinds of people in there. It's a real World Nations group. Montclair, New Jersey, everywhere.
All right. Okay. And, the Winter Jazz Festival has been around for quite some time, showcasing new acts, emerging groups, established artists. I know they're going to be honoring Jerry Allen this year.
Yes, Jerry Allen.
I mean, they're really doing it up a storm. So, again, let our listeners know you're going to be performing on January 12th.
January 12th.
At the Bitter End.
The old Bitter End.
I haven't been there in such a long time.
I wish I would have gone there with you. That might have been a party. I would have liked to, but we'll be there at 9:20, I believe. We are doing this this new kind of show that we put together, curated show called Protest Songs from Africa to America.
Okay.
And it depicts, it's a musical show that depicts in a presentation vibe a good template of different types of protest songs through the vehicle of African music, South African music, Afro-American music, and also our own Sheikh's original creative empowering music. Because our music basically is of that. That's what we're trying to present to the world, to love and empowering yourself and to believe in yourself and to have faith and to know the power within you.
So it's not negative. It's meant to be about empowerment, correct?
Empowering yourself, knowing that you are somebody, knowing that you are in control, that you have to be in spirit and be in tune and change your life and do things and also be selfless too.
So it's about really a call to action.
A call to action. That's the protest. That you must be protesting to be calling yourself to be doing something.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that. And we'll be doing this a lot next year. Next year we'll be performing this particular show a lot.
Okay. You're going to be traveling in Europe?
We'll be traveling to what we're going. Where we going, Jonah? Where we going? Name me some places where we're going. So I just tell people. We're going Kansas City. Yes. Where else? Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Where else? One more? Pittsburgh.
Oh, I went to school in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
University of Pittsburgh.
Well, the great Roger Humphreys is their great drummer. He used to play Horace Silvers. So we'll be going around a lot.
Okay.
Next year with this show, yeah.
Okay, good.
I put John on the spot there.
Okay, traveling the country, sharing your vibe, making jazz more relevant today.
Yeah. Well, yes, the jazz, making all of the pantheon of that music relevant.
Okay.
The blues, that needs to be relevant. Soul music needs to be relevant. Rhythm and blues needs to be relevant. African music needs to be relevant. Jazz music, all of that needs to be relevant. And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. So before we wrap up,
yes, ma'am.
I just like to say, I think what you're infusing, not just in New York, is great. And you're based in Harlem, correct?
I got here 6 years ago. Actually, that's a lie. I tell you what, when I first got to New York, when I was 18, when I came, first time on my own, without my mom, I don't know. I got to Harlem. I made a mistake. I got to the 1 train.
Okay.
The 125th 1 train one. And I got out. I was like, this is not the place. Because when you get out there, I should have gone to the A train. The AC. Yes. So I got out the one. I was like, where's that? So I walk and I walk and I walk. And then you see it and you get to the Apollo. But once I got there, I was like, this is where I want to live.
Okay.
So from then I knew that if I ever was to come and live in America, I would live in Harlem. That's where all the ancestors were.
Yes.
So it's very important as a musician, as an artist, to be connected. You can go where James Baldwin used to live.
Yeah.
You can go where Johnny Hartman used to live.
Yes.
You can see where Mary Lou Williams used to live. You can see the places where Duke Ellington lived. It's there.
Yeah.
And it's important for you to practice the sanctity of connecting with your ancestors through the places they were.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I had such a great time with you.
Yeah, me too. We could have talked for a long time.
Yes, we can. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. Good luck. I'm going to be there January 12th. And I know you're going to be performing New Year's, too.
Oh, yeah, New Year's. We got a nice show. We're opening, supporting and opening up for a very great musician called Corey Henry, and that's at Irving Plaza, around 9-ish, right? 8. Okay.
All right.
That's actually good.
A long night, yeah.
It's a long night. And we're going to give a shout out to this beautiful lady's nephew who's been doing some great. Presta.
Yes.
Yes, he's here.
Thank you so much. So we're going to take a break now, but thank you so very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for the arts and the music here.
All right.
God
Bye-bye. And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. We just had with us a fabulous, fabulous guest, and I'm hoping we'll have a long-term relationship with him, Michael Mwenso. He is a jazz artist participating in the Winter Jazz Festival. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank his publicist, Mary, his manager, for making this all happen. This was wonderful. And now we're going to have Christine Tschida on the line. Christine, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, Christine. This is
Hi,
Savona.
how
Thank
are you?
you so much for joining us.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. And Christine is the director of the Northrop organization that's in Minnesota, and that's
Right.
like a principal presenter of dance, correct?
Yes, we are a huge venue on the campus of the University of Minnesota. We're here in Minneapolis, and we have a long history of presenting a lot of international dance companies and large-scale ballet companies from all over the world here on our stage as part of the Northrop Dance Series.
Okay, but you're also, in addition to that, the artistic director for the Joyce Theater's American Dance Platform, correct?
Yes, and this is a special, it's just a one-week program, so I don't want to take credit for everything that the Joyce does because they do so much wonderful work in New York City. But each January, there is a one-week period of time where it's like a festival of American dance.
Yes.
It's called the American Dance Platform, and the Joyce has been hosting this for 3 years now, and I was absolutely thrilled that they asked me if I would curate the selections for this January's performances at the Joyce. So I have done that, and we have a great lineup of 8 different American dance companies that we will be performing the week of January 9th through the 14th at the Joyce.
Okay. Now, for our audience benefit, again, this is a part of JanArtsNYC. Arts NYC is a collaboration of 11 to 12 festivals during the month of January. These are all performing arts festivals. So it's jazz, it's dance, it's theater, it's opera, it's all kinds of performances that is being presented in showcases, live events, panel discussions, educational talks, and New York is the center of this all to show how important these various art forms are to America, correct?
That is absolutely right. And some of your other guests may have mentioned, it's also a time of year when hundreds of dance presenters, not only from all across America, but many international dance presenters gather together in New York for conferences. There's the Arts Presenters Conference.
Yes.
There's the International Conference. And so there's so many people that have an opportunity to bring music, dance, theater to their own communities, and they're coming to New York to see as much as they can and hear as much as they can and experience as much as they can so that they might bring that back on a tour elsewhere in the U.S. or internationally.
Yes, I have been this is my third time supporting APAP. And they were explaining to me and to some other, folks who write about the arts or present the arts in broadcast media what they were trying to do. Because I kept saying, your conference is wonderful, but it's industry. What about the general public? Can they get to enjoy this? And they said yes. And I said, well, how do we get to do it? And that's when they shared how there were these other collaborations. And I was like, oh, now I get what you're trying to do. So it's industry to help people in these various art forms, but it's also the public getting to enjoy all these other wonderful performances and showcases. And dance needs to be at the center of this too. And I love the Joyce Theater. They're always trying to do innovative works. So tell us about some of the dance troupes that will be coming in this rendition of American Dance Platform.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you say that this is an opportunity for the public to take part, because it definitely is. Mm-hmm. And what's really special about a program like this is that you get to see two companies in one night. Okay. And that's unusual.
Yes.
I mean, there's two different companies each night. That's how the program runs. There's, a company in Act 1, and then there's an intermission, and then a company in Act 2. So it's a great way to experience dance where, if you are just getting to know dance, mm-hmm. or you want to see, double your money, double your pleasure, you can see two things. So it's really exciting. We start out on January 9th, mm-hmm. and the two companies that evening are Caleb Teicher and Company.
Okay.
And they are from New York City. It's a New York City-based group. And Body Traffic from Los Angeles. So we've tried to show companies from different places in the U.S. And Caleb Teicher really kind of blends traditional American dance forms. He's mm-hmm. a wonderful tap dancer. He was one of the founding members of Dorrance Dance with Michelle Dorrance. And musical theater feeling to his work. And it's just exuberant and fun and delightful. And Body Traffic has these two wonderful women as artistic directors that got started about 10 years ago now in Los Angeles. And they also, some of the works that I first saw of theirs were kind of swing dance based, mm-hmm. jazzy, mm-hmm. Very accessible and fun. So the combination of these two companies seemed like a really natural pairing for the way we're starting off.
No, you're right. I a few years ago, in the year 2011, I did an installation. It turned out to be a window installation with an artist, Diane Smith. She sometimes contributes for us, and I wanted to show people the history of tap dance. It's funny that you said that, and how it came from the Juba dance from mm-hmm. West Africa, morphed across the Atlantic into minstrelly, and then mm-hmm. vaudeville, and then it kept morphing, and then we have tap dance. So I think that's fabulous because it's very Americana. And then what you're talking about, the other troupe from L.A., it does complement what they're trying to do because they're doing other types of swing dance that morphs out of tap dance too. So that's really great. That's quite phenomenal.
Well, and they also, they're working in a very contemporary vein as well, and bringing in elements of street dance and hip hop, and dancers today are so incredible in the versatility that they have, the incredible flexibility and strength, and the ability to dance in so many different styles. And I think people will see this across the week. Mm-hmm. Would you like to hear about a couple of the others?
Sure, please.
So then we move on to Jessica Lange Dance, and Jessica Lange is probably a name that a lot of New Yorkers know. She's created some beautiful work. It's she thinks of herself as a visual artist mm-hmm. whose medium is dance.
Okay.
And so she is paired, Jessica Lange, based in New York, is paired with Bachhaus Dance, also based in the L.A. area, Orange County-based Bachhaus Dance. The artistic director is Jennifer Bachhaus. And I think the combination of these two companies both approach their work very visually. Mm-hmm. It's striking contemporary work, but mm-hmm. visually very appealing. And the ballet influence is really evident there in the fluidity of both of these choreographer styles.
Wow.
So that is the second pairing. The third pairing, I'm just delighted that we were able to make this happen. Philadanco.
Oh, yes, I love them.
Such a wonderful company out of Philadelphia.
Yes, I love them.
They founded in 1970 by Joan Myers Brown, who is truly one of the icons of American dance. It's spiritually uplifting. It's socially relevant. I mean, Philadanco is just a terrific company, paired with Halau o Kekui from Hawaii.
I thought that was interesting.
And so this Hawaiian company, and so, we have two companies with really important cultural roots, one in the African American community, one in the Native Hawaiian community. And I think that this is, again, a wonderful pairing of two American companies, but taking dance in two very different directions or coming out of two very different kinds of traditions. But should be a very exciting evening. And who doesn't like to think about Hawaii in January in New York?
I know. That is really, really wonderful. I just want to thank you so much for coming onto our show. I know it was kind of last minute, but I really wanted to include, dance onto our program and letting folks know what they can look forward to in the new year, because JanArtsNYC, APAP, all these various groups, Prototype, and you have the PAP Theater with their theater performance, and so many other groups. There's so many, it's hard to remember. Giving.
Unbelievable how much is going on.
I'm serious. Giving New Yorkers, a real wonderful bang to the new year and inspiring all of us. So I just wanted to thank you so very, very much for joining us. And I think we're going to get Miss Shelton on our show next week from the Joyce Theater as well. So I just want to thank you.
That's great.
So very, very much.
Yeah.
And we hope to meet you during the American Dance Platform. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. We just had Christine Tschida on the line with us. She is the Director of Northrop in Minneapolis, where they are a major presenter of dance. But she is also the Artistic Director for the Joyce Theater's American Dance Platform that will begin in January during Jan Arts NYC. We're getting ready to wrap up the show with an exhibition review by one of WBAI's contributors, Mitchel Cohen, to a groundbreaking exhibition that took place at Venus Over Manhattan with Alexander Calder and Cady Noland. So we're going to hear from Mitch now.
The exhibit is called Kinetics of Violence at the Venus Gallery in Manhattan. Curated by Sandra Antelo Suarez, it features 2 pieces by Alexander Calder and another 2 pieces by Cady Noland. The exhibit indicts the centuries of violence and social control that afflict the United States, and that the military of this country has inflicted on the world. Each piece, a belt of bullets over a metal and wood gate, a Nathaniel Hawthorne-like stockade wrapped in an American flag, a typical Calder mobile that suggests it is a surveillance drone, and the centerpiece, a black and red mobile rhombus created in 1972 and exhibited here publicly for the first time, a sort of simulated guillotine with moving parts that cuts through the gallery's ceiling, are arranged in dynamic relation to each other to call up a history of the web of violence that Calder and Noland, working 2 decades apart, both challenged. Also, there is, under glass, a full 2-page ad that Calder and his wife Louisa placed in the New York Times challenging the U.S. government's war on Vietnam and calling for the impeachment of President Richard Nixon. Sandra Antelo Suarez filled in what, to me, were remarkable details in the work she curated of these 2 radical political activists and artists.
Both of them are seminal figures of art, especially of United States. I'm from Bolivia. I grew up under the dictatorships implanted in Latin America. I do have perhaps a different engagement with Calder. I believe that there's content in formalism. Actually, what happens with this piece is that the blade, it's standing by itself. It rests in the protrusion. It only pushes when someone pushes it. It's not all of those self-propelled pieces that move. This one, it's actually with the activation of the hand of someone. It calls for intervention. It calls for the human intervention. There are two axes. The axis of the constellations, which is the constellation from World War II, the constellation of the bullets, and the constellation in the flag. The other axis is the axis of the machines. You have this machine in dialogue with the other machine, a machine of torture and of humiliation, that it was actually the first public sculpture in colonial America. Those are spaces for the head, the arms, and the legs. And there is that relationship back again, the formal relationship in the space of the halls of that
stockade, through the American flag.
Through the American flag, with the hole in the ceiling.
Now, to be honest, this reviewer, me, didn't notice any of that upon entering the gallery. I admit, I don't understand much in the way of this kind of modern art. All the political associations here are in the head and not evoked in the heart.
It's not seeing like a painting standing by itself. Everything
takes
its meaning from its relationships to all the other things.
It is about interrelations here in this exhibition. Yes, it reminds me of whenever there would be a revolution or there would be repression, in every corner they would have these cars with the cañón to shoot with it. Large range. I grew up in military takeovers, and thanks to the United States taking over.
Where did you go to school?
First I went to Simon's Rock, which is an early college in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, where there was a shooting. 9 students got killed, and nothing has been done since then, still. Then I went to Bard College, and then my last stop was Columbia University. Can we in the arts make changes? In politics, no, I don't think so, but it is an interesting platform to bring issues for discussion.
At the Venus Gallery, Mitchel Cohen, WBAI Pacifica Radio, New York City.
And we're back on the air, and this was great to have this exhibition reviewed, because it's closing, but it's important because of the artists. To have Alexander Calder paired with Cady Noland, they had never been paired before, different generations, different time periods. That's why we are here. We're here to share with you the various art activities going on, exhibitions, events, so that you, the public, can benefit from our, research, and you could go out there and enjoy it. So we're getting ready to wrap up our show this week. We want to thank all of our guests. That's Kathleen, that's Christine, that's Michael, and our contributor Mitchel this week. And we want to wish all of our listeners a very, very Merry Christmas. And we will come back next week with some other fantastic guests. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
I'm Jesse Lent with the WBAI Resistance Calendar. Saturday, December 23rd at 1 p.m., the group Caring Activists Against Fur, or CAF, will hold what they're calling the last anti-fur protest in New York City before Christmas at the 34th Street entrance of the Macy's at 151 West 34th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue in Manhattan. Innocent furry animals are slaughtered senselessly, often by people who showcase complete disregard and lack of respect for an animal's life. Reads CAF's mission statement. Unfortunately, these creatures do not have a voice of their own and cannot speak to defend their rights. This is why Caring Activists Against Fur works to educate, engage, and spread the word about the horrors of the fur trade. According to organizers, we will have plenty of signs. All you need to bring is yourself and your voice to speak up for the voiceless who cannot articulate their own wish, to live freely out their lives under the sun, to frolic and to bear young, to behave in accordance with their own natures with no interference from our species. You can get more information about the protest by sending an email to info@cafgroup.org or by going to the website caafgroup.org. The Queer Detainee Empowerment Project is a community organizing group that works with lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, two-spirit, trans, intersex, gender nonconforming, and HIV-positive immigrant prisoners and their families currently in detention centers, those that have been recently released from detention centers, and those at risk of entering immigrant detention in the tri-state area. Black and Pink is an open family of LGBTQ prisoners and quote-unquote free world allies who support each other and the dream of the abolition of the prison industrial complex. On Christmas Eve, Sunday, December 24th at 2 p.m., the two organizations will hold an event at the volunteer-run bookstore Blue Stockings to send letters to those currently serving time in prison. Blue Stockings is located at 172 Allen Street between Stanton and Rivington Streets in Manhattan. Find out more at bluestockings.com/events/calendar or by calling 212-777-6028. Then on January 6th at 8 p.m., the author Peter Gelderloos will discuss his new book, Worshipping Power, an Anarchist Vision of Early State Formation, at the Base at 1302 Myrtle Avenue between Central Avenue and Stockholm Street in Brooklyn. To learn more, go to thebasebk.org and click on Events at the top of the page. And at 11 a.m. on Saturday, January 20th at Columbus Circle in Manhattan, the Women's March Alliance will kick off the 2018 Women's March on New York City. Join the world. On January 20th, New York City will raise its voice again to demand equality for all humans, reads a statement from organizers. Over the past year, basic rights for women, immigrants, LGBTQ, the religious and non-religious, people of color, and even Mother Earth have struggled to survive under the weight of the current administration. America's First Amendment has been challenged, and healthcare for millions has been threatened. We must stand together to demand and defend our rights. Let your voice echo from the streets of New York City to the capital city. Show the world that red, white, and blue are colors of tolerance. You can find out more by going to womensmarchalliance.org and clicking on the 2018 March heading at the top of the page. That's the WBAI Resistance Calendar for the week ending Saturday, December 23rd. I'm Jesse Lent.
Happy holidays! You know that corporate media doesn't serve your best interest. WBAI is the media voice which for 57 years has informed you about the issues that matters to you the most. In this giving season, don't forget to give back and help WBAI, your voice of resistance, to stay on the air. To find out how you can donate, go to WBAI.org or call at 516-620-3602.
On Sunday, December 24th at 11 p.m., Sugar in My Bowl presents its second installment of the Winter Jazz Festival, coverage by